Yay!
That is not how you play soccer. Yoga. Turn back around. Whoop, whoop, oh, and you know what you want to do.
I believe it's possible for everybody to do something great in this life, despite their circumstances, and achieve what success means to them. Hi, I'm Dan, a business owner and entrepreneur, a new father and family man, and more importantly, an example that hard work, perseverance, and continued personal development goes a long way to achieving success. I was born at home in a semi-rural suburb in Christchurch, New Zealand, called Heathcote Valley, where I spent the first 15 years of my life. I'm very grateful for my upbringing and the freedom that I experienced, which is a far cry from what I see in today's times. I remember most days dropping the bag off after school, heading out the door with the only rule being come home when the street lights come on. With my brother and my friends, we used to roam the hillside that was untouched, make friends with the neighbouring animals and play soccer at the park. I grew up with a soccer ball at my feet, and I knew that it was a passion of mine. The only real dream I had was to play soccer. Coming up through the ranks in representative level and teams, I soon found myself as a 12-year-old training 4 or 5 times a week with double-header games on the weekend. On top of that, the environment was very professional. There was nutritionists, there was classroom sessions, and everything in between. This taught me a lot about the competitive nature of sport, dealing with the setbacks and the disappointments of sometimes missing out on those teams, injuries as well, that I now know set me up for what was to come. One of the values that my parents instilled in me from a very young age was the fact that I could get anything I wanted, but I had to work for it. What I mean by is that instead of getting things dealt on a silver platter, I was made to think of ways in which I could earn money to then get that. So my parents would often help me create jobs around the house and at home so that I could get paid, and that would earn money towards what I wanted to buy, whether it was something as small as a 50-cent mixture at the dairy or a new pair of soccer boots. Now this helped me live without the expectation that things are going to fall on my lap or that I was going to be given things out of the sky, and gave me a real willingness to work, because at the end of that there's a reward. So I'm very grateful for that experience. Now, one of my first jobs was having a newspaper run at the age of 12. It took a little bit of convincing for them to give me the job, but we got there in the end. Now, I would employ some of my friends. They would come to mine after school. We'd start folding up the papers, and then we'd divide ourselves up and attack each of the different areas in the suburb. So that worked really well for a while, until one day I was walking past a rubbish bin and found a big pile of newspapers. One of the boys did me dirty, but it was a very good business lesson. First time, in business and also employees. So definitely something I look back on and have a smile on my face. I was 15 when my parents divorced. This definitely caught us off guard and shook up what I believed was a stable home environment. Seeing my parents go through their own personal struggles, financially, mental health, no home, and walking away with nothing else either, it definitely forced a reset for the family. Without realizing this at the time, this provided the perfect segue for me to head to Australia and start a new life. Under quite difficult circumstances, I said my goodbyes to my family and friends and headed over to Australia. With my suitcase and $1,000 to my name, I landed on my uncle and auntie's doorstep. I'm so grateful that they took me in for the 3 years that were to follow, and allowed me to finish school, set myself up, get a job, start paying rent, and cover my personal expenses. This was not an easy transition, but over time, it became more comfortable and I definitely felt at home. The moment I got to the northern beaches of Sydney, I was exposed to a new level of wealth that I hadn't seen before. Soccer players, teammates of mine at 16, 17 years old, pulling up in BMWs and Mercedes, wearing designer clothes, things like this that I hadn't seen. I actually felt a little bit intimidated. In my little $1,000 car that I bought with all the money I had, I would often park 100 meters away so that I wasn't seen, but of course I was. My first year in Australia in 2008, I played in the local Premier League as a 16-year-old. Being the smallest person on the park every week in the middle of the field, I constantly got bullied, pushed around and tackled to the ground. This definitely toughened me up, but this wasn't new to me. From that year, I moved into Manly United, working my way up the ranks from under 18s to 20s and then spending 4 years in the first team. As in a semi-professional environment, the opportunities were there to make it professionally, and that was always my intention. Several of my teammates made it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, for me, I didn't quite make it to the next level. And I made a promise to myself, if I don't make it professional by 24 years of age, that I will take a step back, play for fun, and focus on my career. Over the last 2 years of my time at Manly United, I started working mowing lawns part-time. I was working with a guy and we were doing our thing, and I soon realized the financial gain he was making with me doing majority of the work. To me, I knew the next steps was to be able to do that for myself. So with a drawn out negotiation process, he finally agreed to sell me 30 of his lawns and a mower for $4,000. And that's where Greenstone was born, from the back of my station wagon. Starting out, I would do any and every job that came by, whether it be lawns, rubbish removal, weeding on my hands and knees for 8 hours a day, and anything in between. It was just whatever I needed to do to get by. During that time, I would always work with headphones on and I'd be listening to podcasts, whether it be business, mindset, entrepreneurship, personal development. This, I feel, was my version of going to university and getting my degree. I remember as a one-man band working 10 to 12 hours a day, mowing lawns back to back to back, and in my head I had that scarcity mindset, which obviously came from my childhood, that why would I pay someone X amount a day and give up the money that could be in my pocket? So I would rather work 10, 12 hours in a more unsustainable way than pass that money on. And I wish I learnt the power of leverage later on. I would have been able to probably make more money with ease having employed sooner. We took the next steps, and over the years we progressed and developed naturally from a lawn mowing business into a gardening company specializing in pre-sale tidy-ups for real estate agents who are selling luxury homes in Sydney. And then now, as we are, into structural landscapers and pool builders who are servicing some of the finest properties in Sydney. I remember telling the clients in the early days the Greenstone promise. This was my promise to them, which was effective communication, reliability, and attention to detail, which is delivering above expectation. It was that simple. It was 3 key points that I was going to deliver to them. And I think through that alone, my business grew organically. The power of word of mouth was huge, and the ability to be able to build a network and connect with people in the industry. I would say the most powerful thing that I have done in a business sense is the business, both professional and personal development, attending courses, having a business coach, things like that, constantly trying to upskill, knowing where my weaknesses are so I can strengthen them, and also being able to hire in those key places that will leverage your time in order to grow and scale the business as well. It's important, obviously, to have a well-driven machine that there's key parts, and as a business owner, you can't be doing everything. It's not sustainable, and I learned that from lots of years of 10, 12, 13-hour days. Actually, probably like 15, 16-hour days. Today, Greenstone Home and Gardens collaborates with high-end residential builders, architects, other industry professionals and clients to deliver successfully on our projects. We're fortunate enough to have worked in suburbs like Palm Beach, Bondi, Mossman, Manly, and everything in between. Now, it's important equally that we deliver on the project we're building, but also the experience that we give our client. It's common that we share a barbecue at the end of the project with our client and enjoy and cheers to the good times and the successful completion of what we've done. My proudest moment to date is definitely the family I have created with my fiancée Ella. Our beautiful baby Mana, who just turned 1 year old, is the light of our life. Although he came along and flipped our world upside down, we wouldn't have it any other way. He has been the biggest blessing on us, and he has taught me so much in my first year alongside him as a father. I'm very grateful to have the flexibility and freedom as a business owner to be able to spend time and be present with Mana over this last year and create great memories. I haven't quite got it nailed, but we're getting closer and better each day. I believe that my purpose is to leave the world in a better place it was when I found it, whether that be in business, on each job, every interaction with a person, with my family, or in any situation. I want to be a person of increase and also a leader for those people that need someone to look up to for inspiration. My hope is to continue to create that environment that allows myself and others to continue to grow and succeed in their own individual, unique ways.